Knock, knock. Who's there? Your nightmare.
When I was a kid, it was me, my sister, her friend Veronica, and Veronica's little brother Isaiah. We were all hanging out outside when all the power in the neighborhood went out, and about 20 minutes later, that's when the sun went down. My parents and their parents were still at work, and they were paying my older brother to babysit us. He was 16 at the time, so he wouldn't have babysat us unless he got paid to do it. Anyways, as we're hanging out, my older brother points to the abandoned 2-story house that's directly in front of our house and says, "Hey, do you guys see that woman in the second floor foyer window?" As we looked up, there was this woman in an all-white dress that appeared to be facing our direction. We couldn't see her face, however, because it was almost pitch black. The only thing that was giving us light to see was my neighbor's house. He had lit up about maybe 10, 20 candles and lived directly next to us, so it had gave us enough light to see the woman's dress and figure, but not her face. My older brother being the instigator, that he was dared all of us to go inside the house to go talk to her. At the time we were 9 and 12. My sister and Veronica were both the same age, while me and Isaiah were also the same age. Trying to prove ourselves to my cool older brother, we accepted the dare. We brought a giant flashlight with us that my dad kept around in a hurricane kit and proceeded to make our way to the abandoned house. Me being 9 years old, I was a bit terrified and unsure that I wanted to do this. But after watching how courageous everyone else was willing to be, I decided to continue on. Opening the door, we immediately noticed that the house was completely run down on the inside, despite the outside being well taken care of. The paint on the walls was moldy and chipping. The wooden floors looked cracked and rotted, and there was a moist smell in the air that was somewhat unbearable to breath. But nevertheless, we still went on our way. We make it up to the second floor when all of a sudden we hear a giant creak coming from behind the walls. I start to tell everyone that the woman isn't in here and that we should leave. This was actually a front because I was extremely terrified of the environment alone and sensed danger was coming. But to no avail, everyone wants to continue on. As we make a turn and enter the foyer, we see absolutely nothing but a towel hanging over a railing that overlooked the first floor. So I calmed down immediately. I even grabbed the towel and threw it down to the first floor. As we're leaving, however, we hear this blood-curdling scream come from a different room in the house that sounded like someone managed to scream while choking and gurgling at the same time. I guess it was loud enough for even my brother to hear, because he ends up running over and kicking the door in, while screaming at us to come down the stairs and to leave the house. As we look back at the house, the woman is no longer there, and my brother proceeds to tell us that after I threw that towel that the lady in white simply walked right past me, but knew something was up when we didn't react to it. 13 years later, I found out that the woman in the white dress was apparently a ghost that haunts countryside areas and may be a victim of suicide or murder, which was a result of betrayal by a husband, lover,